So we're going to look in this next couple of clips at competencies 2 through 4 in this chapter, which are simply the competencies that are involved in helping people to separate a bit from their mind, see what's going on, see that process, catch it in flight, and to use some tools, some techniques to help pop the illusion of literal language so that there's a little more flexibility in dealing with what the mind says when it's leading you to do things that are not helpful. In this couple of clips, we're going to look at a client who is looking ahead to doing an exposure exercise as part of ACT. The client is experiencing a panic disorder and has been nearly housebound for many years. And we've gotten to the point now where we have some of these skills in place, and we're going to go out and search for Mr. Anxiety. And this is the process of negotiating that exposure session. So, today's the day.
Yeah, I guess that's what we said last week, but I'm not really feeling it. I'm not really feeling it this time. You know, I know that I said I would do this, but I really haven't been able to stop thinking about it the whole week, and I am,
Sure.
you know, my chest is tight. I almost didn't come. I almost called and canceled.
Yeah,
I don't really think that I can do this. I can't get in the car and drive over to that mall. If I walk inside, I know I am going to lose it. I imagine these crowds of people, you know, going up and down, and like I almost feel like the walls are coming in on me when I start thinking about that. It's
Okay, well, we'll just slow it down so we catch it. We can still do this, but we had agreed to sort of look for Mr. Anxiety, and it looks like he's here.
oh yeah, I found
There
him
he
big
is.
time.
Yeah. And let me just ask you this. As you sort of enter into this, is this familiar? Is this a familiar territory?
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. And that's why I came here in the first place.
Right. And so we've been kind of working on trying to stand in a different way to it, but now we're actually going to do something, and here it is, big time. Very familiar, would you say?
Yeah, it's very familiar. It's very disconcerting as well.
Sure. Yeah. How old would you say those thoughts are? Like what you just said, did you notice there was like an urgency to it? Like they kind of went one after another, after another, after another, like like one led to another, after another. This is going to happen when I get there. Then this is going to happen. You with me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
And how old is this? That whole little. I don't mean those exact words. But that kind of. How old is that?
It used to happen to me when I was a kid. You know, when even when I was, you know, before I was a teenager.
Okay.
Same kind of thing. You know, my parents would try to take me out to some public place, and you know, a mall or a street fair or something, and I just you know, in the car on the way over, I'd be a wreck.
Okay. So this has a history.
Yeah, a long
Would
one.
it be fair to say that what you have been doing is sort of turning over your life to that, whatever that was? And you've come in here, we've been working now for these weeks, getting ready for this moment, to try to create a space in which something different can happen.
That was what I hoped to do. Yeah,
Okay.
I've missed out on a lot because I can't you know, I can't keep it together enough to, you know, do the stuff that other people do.
Okay.
Go the places other people go.
Okay, so now we're up on it. We're right up on where the action happens. Like, what do you do when you have thoughts like what you just had? Because you're not there yet. We're not yet actually in the situation where those things are happening yet. But we are right here where those things are being conceived. With me on this?
Yeah, I think I see.
Okay. So, can we just sort of kind of slow this down and watch it? We're about to do something, and here it comes. Can I just do something? I want to do something. terms of creating a history. I want to create a history right here to sort of catch something like how the mind works. Could we do something kind of odd? You're in a place where you'd let me do something kind of odd?
Yeah, if you want, I suppose.
Okay. I've got a pen here.
Yes, you do.
It says something. Here's what it says. It says woo.
The pen says woo.
Okay.
All right.
What does it say?
It says woo.
Okay. We just did it twice. Do you suppose if I come back in here next week, we sit down and I said, what does this say? What do you think you'd say?
Yeah. I'll say it says woo.
And next month?
I would probably still say woo, huh?
How about next year? Is it possible? We just did like 15 seconds. Is it possible next year that might come to mind if I said, this thing says...
Yeah, it would probably still. I'd probably still say it said woo.
But as long as you've struggled with this, with the way the mind works, what do you think is going to happen as we come to this day?
Oh, I see. So I've been thinking for years that I'll lose it if I get into a crowd, and here it's happening again, and I'm thinking about
Exactly. And if that's the determinant, if that's what we're going to turn it over to, I mean, we are never, like, inside letting that run your life is what brought you in here. Think of all the cost that it's produced. So let's see if we can do something different. Like, I'll just take a moment to sort of get in touch with how old this is and the cost associated with it. You with me on this?
Yeah.
This pen goes,
Woo.
Mary had a little.
Lamb.
If I go to the mall, I'm gonna...
Lose it.
Okay. The world is working as it should. Your mind's working perfectly. It's doing what minds do. That's not your... Is that your enemy?
No, I guess that's just what happens, huh?
Is it?
Well, if I can learn that a pen goes woo in 2 seconds,
Okay.
I have a
Okay,
lifetime.
so here's what I'd like to ask of you. We're about to get up and go do this thing we agreed. And it sounds like your mind is engaged. We did it to find Mr. Anxiety, right?
Sure.
Sounds like we're here, and we're right on this pivot point where we're going to do something different. And here's the thing I'd like to ask you that's different with regard to that. Would you be willing to do this? And as you go, you can tell me what's coming up. I want you to actually watch your mind go as it constructs those scary futures, and just notice it. Like, sort of like the way you carry something that's fragile. I want you just to sort of notice it. Like it's not your enemy, and it's not your boss. It's your mind doing its thing. Would you be willing to sort of do it with that spirit of let's see what's there? Let's just kind of watch it go.
Yeah, I can try. Yeah.
But I can feel it. Yeah?
I think it's my mind kicking in, telling me that I'm going to fall apart.
Good
if
catch.
Yeah.
Good catch. So even that thought that came up as I said that, let's do the same thing with that one too. You with me on this?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was an ACT consistent segment. What we were doing is using some ACT techniques to try to get a sense of separation between the person and their mind. You might notice that some of the things the person said that were difficult or entangling, I just said good to, as if that's really not your enemy. And we did a kind of a mindfulness process of just noticing that it's there. And also this historical part of sort of noticing that your mind is not always your friend. It's not your enemy either. But especially when people are struggling, they need to sort of focus on new ways of guiding their behavior and not these habitual thought patterns. So, today's the day.
Yeah, I guess it is.
For Mr. Anxiety.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that I can do it. I've been just beside myself ever since last week, thinking that I was gonna have to go through with this, and I'm not sure I can. I mean, my chest is tight. I feel like there's sweat running down my back. I'm petrified. You know, I'm
Do you know what you're afraid of? Like what kind of?
No,
if we actually go there, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it before I get inside the front door.
Lose it meaning what? Like what's going to happen?
I don't know. I pass out. I just go crazy.
Okay.
It's you know, I hate crowds, and I hate being around all those people, and you know, I know I said I would. I know that we planned that we'd go over there, but it's just too much. I just can't do it.
Okay. But it's not surprising you'd be thinking this. This is an old thought. Yeah, I mean it's where you started. I mean it's how you've been thinking.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean it's not true, but.
Well, let me just ask you this in terms of the truth. That truth means different things, but in all these years you've been thinking things like that. Have you actually lost it?
No, but I haven't really done it much either.
Right.
And once or
So
twice.
you haven't been able to test it to see if it's really true.
Yeah, I mean, you know, once or twice maybe I've managed to spend a little time in crowds.
So far, this is fair to say, as far as you know, this is just a thought. It's a thought you're having.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I don't have any evidence that it would absolutely happen, although it sure as hell feels like it's going to happen.
So it'd be one thing. It's worth noticing that, and something for us to kind of hang on to when we go there.
Mm-hmm.
That when your mind gets on you there, that you remember that this is just a thought. It's not true as far as you know. Well, not as far as you know, directly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Okay. Not only that it's not true, but can I do something that's a little odd, just a little silly to kind of look at this in a different way?
Okay.
We're going to have to do something different, or we're not going to get anything different.
That makes sense, yeah.
So, give me a cartoon character that you like.
Donald Duck.
Okay, Donald Duck. So suppose these thoughts were actually something that Donald Duck would say. Like what kind of thoughts would come up if we go to the mall? What's going to happen? It's going to be
get out of the car and start walking towards the entrance, and it's just going to be bad. It's
Okay.
going to be terrible.
Okay. So your Donald Duck says,
Oh, you big bad.
That's ridiculous.
well, as far as you know, the thoughts are similarly ridiculous. I mean, here you sort of turning your life over to things that you don't know are true, and that could just be silly.
That is
Like, what other kind of thoughts would come up? That could we actually go there, and mentally, could you sort of have your thoughts be in a Donald Duck voice, just so that you can see them as something that's silly, which may be able to give you a little bit of freedom from them. Because we know what happens if you just turn your life over to them.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I guess they are pretty silly thoughts, and I'm not sure that I can do that voice quite so well.
This is a result of a misspent youth. What other kind of thoughts do you have? Like if you go...
Yeah, if I go, I'm like gonna lose. I'm gonna hyperventilate and.
I will hyperventilate.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah,
Okay.
that's wow. Just put it that way.
I just want you to sort of hang on to that a little bit when it really gets up on you, so that you can remember that these things are not true, as far as you know. And it is kind of a silly thing to allow them to do what they've done. And so we'll just, if you tell me what they are, heck, if you can't do it mentally in your head, I'll say it out loud. I could probably say most of these thoughts, Donald Duck-wise. Would you be willing to do it that way?
Yeah, well, I have to say I think it would make it a lot easier, if for no other reason than it would just distract me, but...
Yeah, it might. It might. Why don't we see?
Okay.
This segment is ACT inconsistent. It's using some ACT technology. It looks like somebody who may have read some ACT books and thinks they kind of understand it, trying to mix it perhaps with traditional CBT. But you could see in a couple areas that it's inconsistent. For example, we wouldn't take the probability that you're going to lose it and hang on to that as a thought, as if you should, by believing that, fend off other thoughts. The other part is that we used a little diffusion technology, the President Bush exercise, but we did it to sort of ridicule and make fun of the thoughts, to belittle them, as if to make them go away, as opposed to simply noticing them or noticing them in a different way. So it looks a little consistent. It has some features in there, but it's bleeding over some of these other assumptions that you have to control, regulate, diminish, or get rid of thoughts, or bleeding over into the work you're doing, which would diminish the coherence of work inside an ACT model. Now we're going to go into competency 9, which is detecting mindiness or entanglement with cognitions in session. This next segment will be with a college student who is facing career choices, still not certain about her major, and is sort of struggling with those alternatives. So, what's inside this decision?
Well, I just get really nervous because I'm supposed to choose. I have one more semester left, and I get worried because I'm not sure if I'm on the right paths, and I don't want to make the wrong decisions. And then my parents are telling me, my dad wants me to do one thing, and I feel like I just get it thrown in lots of different directions, and then my teachers tell me one thing, and I just feel like there's 6 of me trying to do different things.
Right. If you could settle them down just to 2, the 2 major ones, what would be the 2 major alternatives that you have here?
Well, I mean, ultimately, my family, and I still want to have friends, and I'm really young still, and I get, and then the career choices and wanting to be successful.
Oh, okay. Which of those is more important, do you think?
Well, I mean, I definitely feel a lot better when I'm around people that I love and stuff, but then also I've always been told career is the most important thing, and making money and all that, but I just keep feeling like I'm failing.
Oh, okay. So it seems like if you do one, you don't get the other, and I wonder if that's really true. Are there things in there where you could do both? Is that?
Well, I mean, I feel like if I'm committed to school, then I'm committed to school. And
Okay.
I just don't have the time.
Yeah, it does take time, but not forever. I mean,
Well, no, but for now.
it seems like you're kind of almost anxious when you talk about it here.
Yeah, it makes me, I just get really, because I just don't know what the right direction to go in.
I don't know. Maybe you just need to follow your heart here. Just make a choice. How long have you been sitting on this fence? It seems like you're sitting on a fence.
Well, I mean, I guess since I had to choose which college to go to in high school. And
Okay. Is there any other way to do it other than just the Nike solution? Just do it?
I don't see it. I mean, I feel like I am just doing it. I'm just not going anywhere with it.
Okay. Well, maybe we're just not thinking about it broadly enough, in an open enough way.
Well, I feel like I'm covering all the bases.
Yeah. This segment was just sort of a normal way that you might interact, but it's not very consistent with an ACT model. We're asking sort of, what are the costs, benefits in either way? Is there a way to have both? You're just going to have to move on, making a choice. Some of this even had some ACT language in it, like making a choice and so forth. What the error is that we're climbing into content fully, and there's an obsessive quality about this that makes it unlikely that that's where we're going to find the solutions. As we focus on one alternative, the other one will come to the fore. As we focus on that one, the other one will, sort of a back and forth. And by getting into the content and then pushing the person to make a decision, it's not very likely that we're doing anything other than what the person's doing to themselves anyway. So what's inside this choice, I guess?
Well, I just feel like I get torn in two different pieces, trying to please my family and my friends, but then also trying to be motivated to choose a career, which I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. Even as you say that, there's a sort of sense that we're entering into a kind of a chattery world. Do you feel as though we're kind of getting into a worried space?
Yeah.
Like if we were to just do it metaphorically, like how close are your thoughts about, am I doing the right thing? If we use distance as a metaphor for how close they are, I have a sense that they're right up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blinding.
Yeah, exactly. And is that a pretty familiar place to be?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and not just in this area, right?
No.
With
Probably
other,
not.
yeah, with other decisions and choices. So it's just worth noticing that, that's kind of how your mind works. It's probably trying to help you out here, but it's doing something that's probably pretty familiar. Well, what would happen if we kind of just sort of noticed more openly what your mind's doing, and also just what's showing up for you in your body and your emotions as we look at this? I can yeah, nice. I can notice you're kind of almost holding it there, like this decision has to be made now.
Yeah.
So come back to it now and just sort of watch your mind kind of come up like this, and see if we can just kind of watch it there.
Okay.
So you do have a choice to make. There's only one. I mean, life is finite, and you don't get to do everything.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's a little scary.
Yeah.
And so what does your mind start saying to you?
Well, I feel like every time I make a positive decision to go one way, it's leaving another thing behind, and then I hold on to the thing that I'm going to be missing out on.
Yeah, exactly. So just don't grab that, because it'll pull right up close. Just sort of notice that.
Okay.
And would that be okay to have that sort of sense of, I don't know if I made the right decision? Like what's inside that? Would it be okay to have that thought?
It's scary to not know.
Yeah, it is.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I don't really have control over that.
Okay. And could we sort of open up to, it is a little scary. When you make choices, you open some doors and you close others.
Yeah.
And even that sense of it's scary, is that okay? Is there something like not supposed to happen here when you make career choices? Is it not supposed to have any scariness to it?
Well, it is scary,
It is,
so...
Yeah. So let's see if we can just kind of open up to that's okay too. You're not doing anything wrong here. It's not an indication something like bad is happening here.
Right.
In this section, all we wanted to do is sort of catch that mindy process that pulls people into figuring out and problem solving, which can be fine when it works, but when you have something that's sort of chronically stuck and obsessive like this, probably more of that is not going to be helpful. We're going to catch it here in flight and just get a little bit of separation. We've already done some work with this client, so she can sort of bring some of those skills and start looking at her thoughts, opening up to her feelings a little bit, And that'll give us a sort of a softer, more flexible way to explore what is a scary thing, which is life is finite. When you make choices, you open some doors and you close others.